In my story, I've uncovered a whirlwind of betrayal that not only shreds the fabric of marriage but also exposes the dark side of humanity. I've witnessed my wife, the one I love, conspiring with my so-called closest friend, Liam Harris, to further humiliate me. Their plan? To make me pay for their weekend getaway. A scheme that not only plunders my wallet but tramples on my dignity. Yet this is just the tip of the iceberg, for my real plan is just beginning. Welcome to the Butterfly Tumblr Radio channel. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Ethan watched from his second-story bedroom window as his wife eagerly embraced Liam Harris, a man who claimed to be his closest friend. This was their fifth date, and as Ethan watched and listened, he discovered their plan to further humiliate him. He made it clear to Sophia that he wanted to spend the entire week with her, but she declined. She said not a whole week, Liam. Maybe a week, but only with one condition. What is that? He asked. She said, get Ethan to pay for it. He laughed. That's silly. He said I'm much richer than he is. I will pay for it. No, she replied. You're overlooking the most important aspect of all this. And that is, he asked, humiliating Ethan. She mentioned, come on, admit, you enjoy humiliating him, don't you? Pushing him around, making him feel bad. So he started. He's my best friend. You know. She said you enjoy humiliating him nearly as much as I do. Look, Chris, let's end this charade. He begged. Come with me and dump that jerk. I want to marry you and devote the rest of my life to you. She laughed. Tell me what's done. She said. Let me get him to pay for a hot weekend and we'll see. Okay. Liam sighed, exasperated. Oh, it will be dirty, he said as he got back into his car. I'll talk to you soon, so don't keep me waiting too long. You are already giving me blue balls. She watched him leave before turning to the house she shared with her husband, Ethan. She walked in and saw Ethan in the bedroom. She entered the bathroom and left the door open. You probably heard what we were saying, she explained. I'm leaving you for Liam. We're going on a weekend trip and you are paying for it. Soon I will be leaving you to marry him. Ethan lamented, I've been paying since I married you 3 years ago. I thought we were fine. I have done nothing but love you. Don't you love me? She snorted. How could I possibly remain in love with you? She asked sarcastically. You are nothing but a wimp who allows your best friend to date your wife. She noticed him sniffling on the bed. Oh, grow up. She said, is that why you've been disrespecting me over the last few months? He asked weakly. Why do you suppose? She asked. She noticed him looking at her with lust in his eyes, snorting. She shook her head. Don't think about it. She said, I won't let you touch me. I'm calling a real man to come over and you CK me properly. Damn you, asterisk, Ethan said. Getting out of bed, she watched as he descended the stairs. She followed him down and noticed him reaching for the door. Where are you going? After pouting, maybe cry on your mother's shoulder like a baby, she asked sarcastically. He stared at her with sadness in his eyes. He had taken everything he could from her and promised not to take any more. Hello, Chris, he said, slamming the door. She heard his car door open and slam shut. A few seconds later she watched him drive away. Where was he going? She wondered. She shrugged her shoulders, ducking. She reasoned good riddance to that garbage. She picked up her phone and dialed a number. Hey lover. She can. He's gone. Why don't you come over update? 3 days later, Michael drove into the driveway and opened the garage door from inside his car. He pulled in and closed the large door. He grabbed his briefcase and walked purposefully inside the house. Christy sat at the kitchen table drinking coffee. He said nothing to her as he entered his home office. Curious, Christy went to his office door and attempted to enter. The door was locked. Strange, she thought he never locked the door. She knocked on the head, he wouldn't turn the knob. When she heard the lock disengage, she opened the door. She noticed him at his desk looking at a map of something on his computer. She knew he was designing a housing development along one of the area's many lakes, so she assumed that was what he was looking at. "What do you want?" he asked curtly for a moment. She was taken aback. He had never been abrupt with her before, but she realized she had been rather disrespectful to him recently. "I was concerned," she explained. "He left 3 days ago and I haven't heard from you. I tried calling your cell phone but you never answered." "I'm sure you were," he remarked sarcastically. Christy paused for a moment. Was this actually our Ethan? He looked like Mickey. It sounded like Ethan, but there was something unusual about him. Perhaps she pushed him too far. She tried to approach him, but he managed to avoid her advances. "Don't you want to kiss your wife?" she asked. "It has been 3 days since I last saw you." He stared at her for a moment as if she were an insect being examined under a microscope. He shakes his head. "No," he replied, returning to his computer. "Please close the door on your way out." Christy was thoroughly perplexed. By now, her husband never rejected her advances and kissed her whenever he could. This man was cold. She closed the door to his office and went into the master bedroom to get her phone. She called a number and a man answered on the first ring. "Liam, he's back," Christy said, "but something is wrong. It's as if he's another person. He wouldn't even kiss me when he entered the house. Do not worry about it, sweetie." Liam said, "He's probably just realized you're leaving him and there's nothing he can do to change that. I'll come over tonight and we'll get everything taken care of. Let me talk to him for a few minutes." "Okay." Chris said it had better be right. Michael smiled as he returned into his computer. After hearing her side of the conversation that night, Liam drove into the driveway. Christy opened the door and allowed him in. "Where is he?" Liam asked. She pointed at the office door. "Shune's been in there all day," she explained. "Allow me to have a few words with him alone," Liam said. As he walked towards the office door, he knocked on the door after discovering it was locked. "Ethan, I'm Liam, your friend. Can we talk for a couple of minutes?" Liam entered after the door lock was disengaged. "Close the door behind you," Michael said. As Liam entered, "Sit," he commanded, pointing to an empty chair. Liam sat down while Michael poured himself a drink. "Are you not going to offer your friend a drink?" Liam asked. Michael looked at him for a moment. "Friend? Are you truly my friend?" Michael asked. Liam looked perplexed. Christy was correct. This was not the weak beta male he was accustomed to dealing with. "Of course," Liam replied. "I'm your best friend. Remember?" Michael chuckled. "Best friend," he said. "What kind of friend steals his friend's wife?" "Ethan, I was in the fest. I apologize," Liam said before Michael cut him off. "You want Sophia?" "Correct," Michael asked. Liam nodded his head. "What is she worth to you?" "I'm not sure what you mean, Ethan." Liam said. Liam, don't play dumb with me," Michael said. "You are a savvy businessman. There is always a cost associated with any negotiation. How much I do not know." Liam said. "What do you have in mind?" Michael said. "I really like your new Bentley." "How much did you pay for that item?" "I paid more than 50.0 for it." Liam said. "I assume it's paid for, correct?" Michael asked. "Of course," Liam replied. "That would be a good beginning." Michael said. What Liam asked. "You want me to give up my Bentley in exchange for Sophia?" Michael smiled. "Along with 25 of your total net worth," Michael said. Liam's eyes widened. "That's more than 50 million. Liam said. "You cannot be serious. It's precisely 525. 1538 and 25, according to my research." Michael said. "I'm serious. Very serious. You want my car and 25 of my net worth in exchange for Sophia?" Liam asked. Chris was correct. This was not the man he was accustomed to pushing around. The offer is valid until noon tomorrow. Michael said after 12, it increases to 50 plus controlling shares in your company. Do you want Christ? That is my price. That is highway robbery. Liam said you will never get away with this. Maybe perhaps not. Michael said, sipping his beverage. Do you want her? However, God only knows why, and that is my price. I tell you what, you accepted my offer unconditionally, and I will ensure that the two of you spend the rest of your lives together. Isn't this what you want? Okay. Yeah. I'd love to spend the rest of my life with Christy. Liam said. Michael smiled. I agree to this, and I'll even make a celebratory dinner for the two of you. Michael said, what say you? I'll need some time to think about it. Liam said. Michael nodded his head. I'll give you until noon tomorrow. He explained, please close the door on your way out. He added, indicating that the meeting had ended. Liam stood up confused and exited the office. Liam and Chris left and he watched them through the curtains. He smiled and made a few calls. Update 1. Sophia did not arrive home until early in the morning. He could hear the two of them conversing in the driveway. Just think, Liam said, in a few days we'll be able to begin our new life lived without Ethan soon enough. She said, I can't wait to have Ethan serve us as a waiter. She kissed him and watched him drive away. She entered the house and noticed the light in her husband's office. Was he in there all the time? She wondered. She tried opening the door, but it was locked. Ethan, she asked, go away. Michael said Christy chose not to push him any further. She was extremely concerned about her husband's strange behavior and went up to the master bedroom the following day. Michael got a text from Liam Deal. He responded with an offshore account number and stated that he would monitor it to ensure the transaction was completed within a few hours. He verified that the full amount had been transferred and immediately moved it out. He divided it among several other accounts to which he had exclusive access. He texted Liam and Chris why. Dinner tonight is on me, be here at 7 p.m. sharp. He left to get what he needed for the night's meal and returned in an hour to work in the kitchen. He enjoyed cooking and tonight's meal was somewhat bittersweet. Christy came home around 6 p.m. and went into the kitchen. She had never seen her husband cook, but he appeared to know his way around the kitchen. Whatever he was making smelled delicious. I didn't realize you cooked, she said. He looked at her before responding. You don't know much about me. He said, perhaps if you had stayed at home now, and then you could have learned something I learned to fend for myself. Now get ready. Your date will arrive soon. She tried to kiss him on the cheek, but he moved his head away from her. She backed away and dashed upstairs. A tear ran down her cheek. What did I do? She questioned herself. Liam arrived just before 7 and rang the doorbell. Michael answered the door and allowed him in. Liam handed him a set of Bentley keys and the signed paperwork. As promised, he said, I am parched. Can I get something to drink? Thank you for fulfilling your promise. I'll get you and CH or something to drink soon, Michael said, pocketing the keys. He was looking forward to driving his new Bentley. Sophia soon returned downstairs, stunning, in a short, backless gown that left little to the imagination. Michael noticed that she had removed her rings. She walked to the dining room table and Michael pulled out a chair for her. She smiled at him as she sat down, but he did not respond. The smile. Liam sat down as well, smiling like a Cheshire cat. You look beautiful, my dear, he told her while kissing her hand. And I see you've removed your rings. Good. She smiled as Michael brought flutes of champagne and placed them down. He went back into the kitchen and returned with a large dish. He removed the cover and they all inhaled the aroma of Michael's lasagna. That smells divine. Ethan, Liam said, perhaps you've missed your true calling. Michael did not say anything, as he served the helpings, one for each plate. Christy looked at him. Are you not going to join us? She asked. Michael shakes his head. No, he replied. This is your dinner. Enjoy. He stood back and watched the lovers toast each other and drink champagne. He returned to his office, a wide smile on his face. He glanced at his wristwatch. Any time now, he reasoned. Sure enough, he heard two thumbs. Looking in the dining room, he noticed Christy and Liam slumped over. Good. He estimated they would be gone for at least 6 hours. He changed clothes and began stripping them, both tying their arms and legs around each other. While retrieving a wheeled cart from the garage, he took the two out and wrapped their unconscious bodies in heavy chains with weights attached. He placed ball gags in their mouths in case they awoke before he arrived. It wasn't easy, but he managed to fit both of them into a large canvas bag he bought specifically for this occasion. Using a carton portable engine lift, he placed them inside the Bentley's trunk before closing and locking the lid. He got in his car and drove away. Final update: after arriving at his destination a few hours later, he noticed movement inside the bag and opened its door. Two perplexed heads emerged from the bag and stared around in the darkness. Terrified, Michael approached them, carrying a small taser with him. If you promise to be quiet, I'll remove the gags and answer any questions you may have, he said. But if you scream, I guarantee you won't like the outcome. He continued, holding up the taser. They nodded, so Michael took the gags out of their mouths. Where are we now? Christy inquired, terrified. Who are you? What's happening? Yes, Liam said. What the hell is going on? According to my GPS, this is exactly where your husband committed suicide. Michael said he killed himself. Christy asked, what exactly are you talking about? Yes, he told me about how you've been treating him over the last few years, cutting him off from love. Michael said he was humiliating him. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot my manners. You probably think I'm Ethan. Actually, I'm his twin brother. Michael, we don't just share DNA. We also have the same first name and middle initial. I warned him about Sophia, but he did not listen. You know, I was about to say something when the preacher spoke. If anyone has a reason why these two shouldn't marry. But I did not. He added, holding up two fingers very close together. You see, Sophia, well, Ethan and I have a lot in common. We are very different. He was a friendly man who got along with everyone. Unlike me, confrontation didn't suit him. He loved you wholeheartedly and was willing to do almost anything to make you happy. On the other hand, I saw straight through you from the start. I knew you were a deceitful, boisterous person who would cheat on him at the first opportunity. I hoped to be wrong for his sake, but I was correct. He said Ethan never mentioned having a brother. Chris said, no, that wasn't my insistence. Michael explained, you see, officially I do not exist. I will tell you why, but I would have to kick you. He laughed. Oh wait, I understand it's dark, so you probably don't recognize your surroundings. Michael explained after he had finished laughing at his own joke. We're in the deepest part of Bottomless Lake where Ethan ended it all just a few days before. You see, he couldn't take what you had done to him anymore, so he took the easy way out. I tried to stop him, but he was too upset. Christy had tears running down her cheeks. He killed himself, she asked. I never wanted him to die. Michael snorted. He said, be an asterisk. You said you didn't love him. You could as well have held a gun to his head and pulled the trigger. Michael regarded Liam and Jew as an asterisk. Cole, you pretended to be his best friend. You never answered my question. What kind of friend would steal his friend's wife alive? He asked. The truth is that you were never his friend. You manipulated him to get what you wanted. You enjoyed pushing him around. Asterisk is holding him and humiliating him at every opportunity. But you promised to spend the rest of our lives together. Liam said, you lied to me. You cheated me. Michael laughed. I told you that you would spend the rest of your lives together. Michael stated, I just never told you that your lives would be cut dramatically short. So yes, You will live the rest of your lives together. You will even die together. It's rather fitting, given that you two conspired against my brother. Please do not do this. Christy begged. Michael looked at her. Ethan told me he said the same thing to you before you humiliated and ordered him. Michael said, but you simply laughed in his face. Well, be an asterisk. Suck it up. You're crazy. She said you will never get away with this. Michael shrugged his shoulders. Maybe not, he replied. But if your suicide letter is discovered on your computer, it won't matter. I have to admit, however, that it is a touching letter. Changing the subject, you do realize that no one has ever found the bottom of this line right, and there is enough weight on that chain to ensure that you descend quickly. I estimate that you two will only live for about 60 minutes before falling unconscious. You might even survive a few minutes afterwards. At any rate, enjoy. Michael fully opened the bag and tipped it over, causing the two occupants to struggle in the water. Enjoy your journey, he said, watching the bubbles rise to the surface. Soon the bubbles will stop. Michael started the boat's motor and returned to the dock. Following the marina's lights, he parked the boat, turned it off and jumped into the Bentley. He made a mental note to incinerate the bag to remove any traces of its previous contents. He took out his phone and sent a text message. Done. A response arrived almost instantly. Thank you, bro. Enjoy the ride. I had a story to prevent a pound of cure. As one woman's boss discovers, Aaron Bennett was eager to return home to Isabella, his beloved wife of 10 years. She was not only a beautiful woman, but she also maintained excellent physical fitness. She was an excellent cook and the best lover a man could ever have. Isabella mentioned the day before that she wanted to invite her new boss, Ethan Armstrong, over for dinner. According to her, he wanted to meet her husband and learn about her family's situation. Aaron saw no harm and expressed his desire to meet her new boss, especially since the previous two men in that position did not last long and left under somewhat mysterious circumstances. The most recent man in that position left after only a few months on the job, claiming he needed to take a long sabbatical in Sri Lanka to find himself, and the man before him was discovered decapitated in the garage. His hands were tied behind his back. The police ruled it a suicide, but his surgically removed genitals were never found. Aaron noticed the time and texted his wife before locking his office, informing her that he was on his way. Her response came instantly. See you soon. Love you, Aaron. Bid his secretary farewell and drove home, stopping briefly to get a bouquet of roses for his wife. He enjoyed surprising her with such gestures and she appreciated receiving his love gifts. She also enjoyed thanking him for the small gifts. Aaron pulled into his driveway, noticing the black Mercedes parked near the curb in front of his house. At least the man thought to stay out of my driveway. Aaron believed he entered the house and saw a well-dressed man in his late 40s sitting on his couch. Aaron sized him up. He was relatively tall and well-built, built with a hint of gray at his temples. He was clean-shaven and seemed to have a perpetual smirk on his face. He stood up, a crooked smile on his face as Aaron entered the room and extended his hand. Aaron agreed. Before excused himself, he went into the kitchen, handed Isabella the bouquet and then took her in his arms. Her face lit up when she accepted the flowers. She whispered, I will have to properly thank you for these. Later Aaron kissed his wife's lovely face, his hand on her like an asterisk. Now be a good host and say hello to Ethan, she advised. Aaron kissed her again and returned to the front room. He went to his liquor cabinet and offered Ethan a shot of whiskey, which he took. Aaron poured the liquor and the two men sat in the front room. Ethan said with a sideways smile, that is quite a wife you have there. I have to agree. Aaron stated she is my reason for living. Ethan said, I guess you'll understand why I'm about to tell you what I'm going to do. Really? Aaron asked, what is that? I'm going to duck your lovely wife. Ethan said she's going to love it and you are going to watch. Hold that thought for a second. Aaron said I will be right back. He went to the kitchen. I'm going to show Ethan around. He explained he will be right back. Isabella shot him a knowing look. Don't take too long, dear. She said dinner will be ready in about 15-20 minutes. Perfect. Aaron said he returned to the front room. You haven't told your wife what I said. I hope Ethan said. Aaron shakes his head. No, Aaron replied. Let her enter my cave. Shall we? He said, motioning Ethan to follow him. Ethan got up and followed Aaron into his office, also referred to as his personal man cave. Ethan looked around to see what else was on the walls. Besides photos, the wall displayed a number of official commendations, medals, knives and guns, as well as several swords. So you plan to avoid my wife? Do you? Yeah, Aaron asked. Ethan nodded his head. Yes, I do, he replied, smirking. Do you have an issue with that? I assume my wife never told you about me. Aaron said she tells me you're an accountant who conducts research for a special task force. He said. Yes, Aaron confirmed, a certified accountant, and yes, I work for a combined federal private task force, but I was not always an accountant. Oh, Ethan said. Aaron pointed to the items on the wall. I used to be in the military. You know. Aaron explained that he was a scout sniper. At the time, the majority of my 150 confirmed sniper kills were in the 306-yard range, but I have successfully taken out targets as far as 1 into YD. That's over a half mile, and at that distance you won't hear the shot 1 second. You are alive and breathing, and then you're dead. He opened a drawer and ran his hands over his knife collection. Ethan was already uncomfortable, and he became even more uncomfortable when Aaron pulled out a very large knife. I'm also quite comfortable with close and kills, he said, holding the sharp blade up for Ethan to see. Nothing beats seeing your enemy take his final breath up close and personal. Ethan's face went white and the smirk vanished. Look, Aaron, this isn't personal, Ethan stammered. But it is, Ethan. Aaron said you just told me you were going to duck my wife and you expected me to watch. That makes it very personal for me. I just want you to understand what you are risking. I believe in the old adage, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Do you understand? I'm sure he looked at his watch. Oh, I think dinner is almost ready. We'd better get back, he said. Ethan nodded and watched in horror as Aaron hurled the knife at a thick target on the far wall. The knife struck dead center and buried itself halfway to the hilt. Aaron told Isabella's ashen-faced, "Be boss, I'd like to keep practicing." They entered the dining room, where Isabella had set up 3 places at their table, with Aaron's bouquet in the center. As usual, she seated Aaron at the head of the table, Ethan to his left and herself to his right. They sat and Aaron took Isabella's hand in hers. He extended his hand to Ethan. "We like to say grace before eating," he explained. Ethan gently took Aaron's hand. Isabella and Aaron closed their eyes. Ethan followed suit, unsure what to expect. "Lord Aaron, thanked you for the food we were about to eat. Thank you for your abundant blessings on our home and family. Please continue to bless us with your wisdom and grace. Amen. I hope everyone enjoys it." Isabella explained, uncovering the plates to reveal a juicy Cornish game hen, one of Aaron's favorites. "I started slow cooking it this morning. This is delicious," dear Aaron said, taking a large bite. "Do you agree?" Ethan nervously nodded in agreement. He replied, "Yes, it is very good. Isabella, you're a wonderful cook." Aaron noticed Ethan staring at him nervously as he complimented Isabella on her cooking. "Don't worry, Ethan. You said I never kill anyone at dinner. Do I?" My dear Ethan's face blanched as Isabella nodded her approval, not without good reason. She explained, "It can get messy and I really dislike having to clean the tablecloth," she added. "After all, it's over 1 year old. As dear Aaron mentioned. Ethan tells me he's going to duck you and wants me to watch. Did you know anything about it, really? Isabella asked. No, he never told me anything about it. She looked at Ethan. Is this true? Ethan, do you intend to duck me? Please, Isabella. I did not say that. Perhaps your husband misunderstood me. Ethan replied, shaking his head. Aaron took out a small digital recorder and pressed a button. I'm going to avoid your lovely wife. Ethan's voice said she is going to love it and you are going to watch. Ethan's face turned red and Isabella shook her head. What's going on with you? Isabella asked. We welcome you to our home. Feed you, extend our hospitality. And this is how you repay us. Please. Ethan said it was just a joke. I was only kidding. So there you have it. This happened when I was in the first or second year of junior high school. I think I was about 13 years old. I grew up in the countryside. Aaron claimed he was only joking. I don't know, she replied. What is the punchline? I am not laughing. Look, I did not mean it. Ethan said, raising his hand. Really, is this what you told the husband of the previous wife? He screwed. Aaron asked, what exactly are you talking about? Ethan asked, I told you that I'm a researcher. I looked you up after Isabella told me about you. Aaron stated that, according to my research, you were quietly terminated from Acme Enterprises 3 months ago after being named in a civil suit for alienation of affection. The man who filed the lawsuit was the woman's husband he divorced. After discovering the two of you in a hotel room, Ethan looked down at his plate. Is this true? Isabella questioned my kiss. Ethan replied quietly. I've done some things I'm not proud of, but they are all in the past. Speaking of the past, Aaron told me that Ethan's ex-wife was so fed up with his cheating that she contacted the Mutual Marital Assurance Society, also known as AMAST. Isn't this true, Ethan? Yes, it is true, he stated. I've even seen a video of the punishment she was going to give him, Aaron informed Isabella. It was actually quite brutal. I would have thought that would prompt you to change your ways, but didn't it? Ethan looked at him stunned. How do you know about that? He asked. That was meant to be kept quiet. Ethan, Aaron replied, shaking his head. I told you that I'm a researcher. I have access to information you won't believe. My task force intervened with your wife on your behalf. Don't you remember? Aaron looked at Isabella after we contacted his wife. She agreed to offer him a choice, accept the punishment and remarried or accept the fair divorce settlement. I guess he didn't want the humiliation, so he agreed to the divorce. Aaron looked back at Ethan. You really avoided a bullet with that one, he said. What kind of punishment was she going to give him? Isabella asked. Brutal stuff, Aaron said. Unfortunately, apparently he did not learn his lesson. Aaron suggested we teach him that lesson. Isabella said something tonight. Aaron nodded his head. You may be onto something, dear. He said. He looked over at Ethan, who was furiously shaking his head. No, please do not do that, he begged, looking between Aaron and Isabella. Why not? Aaron asked. You obviously did not read the message before. Perhaps we should teach you that it's not appropriate to avoid other men's wives. I've still got your ex-wife's number. Perhaps we should invite her over to help you learn your lesson. And I have a lot of things I can use to hurt you. Aaron looked at Isabella. What exactly are you talking about? Ethan said. Ethan gets his gun out of his chair. His face turned white and his eyes widened. His body was physically shaking with terror. No, he replied. You people are insane. Look, it was only a joke. Please forget what I said. He attempted to turn away, but Aaron grabbed him. I apologize. Really, I am. He said I'll never do anything like that to anyone again. Please accept my sincere apology and forgive me. Aaron looked at his wife. What do you think, dear? He asked. Should we forgive him? Well, dear, she replied. We believe in forgiveness. So yes, we will forgive him this time. Aaron relaxed his grip on Ethan's throat. He looked at his wife. So what's for dessert? He asked. I made a really good cheesecake, she said. Would the boys like a piece? Aaron looked at Ethan, who was shaking with fear. So how about some dessert? He questioned Ethan, who shook his head. No thanks, he replied. I really need to get home. Aaron noticed Isabella staring at Ethan's trousers. He shook his head when he saw Ethan's wet crotch. Yeah, I understand why you need to go home, Aaron said, noticing an odor emanating from Ethan's trousers. Get out of here and remember what I said. I'll run for the front door, Ethan said. Can you believe he actually removed his pants? Aaron asked. Yeah. Isn't this disgusting? Isabella said in response, and he thought he had ducked me. What a fool. Perhaps I should bring him a box of Depend tomorrow. Aaron departed. After hearing the screech of tires, Aaron turned to his lovely wife. In 2013, a man was found decapitated in his garage with his hands and feet tied. Police in Tulsa, Oklahoma, confirmed the incident was a suicide, but did not go into detail, implying that the man hung himself. Here is the next story. I'm exhausted and relieved to be heading home. It has been a long week. My cell's ring. Nicholas. I ordered from Smithy's. It should be ready in approximately 15 minutes. I have your beer on ice and I prepared a salad. The umbrella is up and there's a nice breeze blowing on the deck. Okay. Emily. I'm about 20 minutes from Smithy's, so I'll be home in about 30 minutes. My job as assistant manager of the accounting department of a large insurance company pays well but can be difficult. Our reports and tax filings are all time sensitive, so sometimes I work late into the evening to finish the work by the deadline. My staff is young and requires a lot of supervision, but they're good workers who will eventually be able to handle more of the workload. I'm looking forward to working a 40-hour week instead of the 55 hours I worked this week. My wife, Emily, is a teacher who usually gets home around 4:45. Following 9 years of marriage, she's used to my schedule at Petito. She's 2 years younger than me. We don't have children, but our biological clock is ticking and we'd like to start a family now. Next year. I always try to leave the office on time. On Fridays we usually eat pizza, watch a movie on cable and go to bed early. We usually have love on Friday nights, which I really enjoy, no matter how tired I am. Emily always seems eager for it and is usually willing to go again on Saturday morning. Hello, honey. I put the pizza in the oven. While I return to the kitchen, I'll change. Emily is putting pizza on a plate and serving up a small salad. She leans in and quickly kisses me, grabs some food and head out to the deck, to beers, a salad and far too much pizza. Later, Emily turns to me and says, Babe, I need to speak with you about something. Will you join me inside? Please. She didn't say honey. We need to talk. But it was close enough that I quickly went over the previous week or so in my head to see if I'd made any mistakes. I couldn't think of any important dates I might have overlooked, so I was clueless. I grabbed another beer and followed her into the kitchen. Okay. Emily. Am I in trouble? What? No, you are never in trouble. You're the best husband a girl could ever ask for. Oh boy. Is this the Macy's card again? Oh no, it's in the thirst. Had you wrecked your car? Oh, why this is serious. Please stop kidding around and pay attention to what I'm saying. Okay. Emily. I apologize. Please tell me what is on your mind, or why this is really difficult for me. Promise to listen, and let me finish what I'm saying before responding. Please, please, Nicholas Mond. Just promise you'll listen to me. Emily. You're scaring me. What the H** was that? Okay. I promise to listen. Nicholas. We've known each other for about 11 years. We met soon after I graduated and started teaching. You didn't know me while I was at State. Yes, you had only been teaching for a few weeks when we met so well. We never really discussed my time at State. I told you I didn't date much after my freshman year. And that is correct. During my freshman year, I went a little boy crazy. I've met a lot of guys and fallen in love with the majority of them. Emily, that happened before you knew me. That is not something I am concerned about. I wasn't a nun while I was at school. Or why, just let me say this, okay? Sorry. Please continue. I'll be quiet. Well, near the end of my freshman year, I was in a large party and experimenting with a group. There were several men and a few women. We were all high and things got really crazy. Anyway, at some point this girl began making out with me. It got pretty intense and she dragged me into another room before locking the door. We spent the entire night in bed, having one-on-one love. I had never been with a girl and had no idea what I was doing. But it was so hot and the girl who went by the name Isabella was all over me. Or why I got really into it, and I'm pretty sure I got her off several times. Okay. Lots of kids experiment with the same love stuff at school. It's not a big deal. Why are you telling me this right now? Nicholas Mott. Please. You agreed to listen and not interrupt. Okay, yes. Sorry. Go on after that night. I could not get me out of my mind. Eventually I tracked her down and spoke with her. I told her I wanted to see her again, which made her very happy. She gushed that I was the best she'd ever had and that she'd love to be with me again. We went on a couple of dates. We ended up living together in an off-campus apartment. Ray, we were deeply in love. We spent just over 2 years together and I was very happy with her. Things came to an end when we were invited to a large party. Isabella had a study group and planned to meet me there later that evening. Stupidly, I got drunk and allowed some guy to make out with me. I'm not sure why I did it. I was very drunk and I believe he had some ecstasy. But Isabella saw me and freaked out. I tried to explain things to her, but she took off. She never returned to our apartment and never spoke to me again. Her brother showed up a few days later to collect her belongings, and that was it. I was a mess for about 6 months until a guy asked me out, which I accepted. Following that, I dated a few more guys before graduating. I met you shortly after graduation, and you transformed me into the happiest girl on the planet. When you proposed to me, I began to speak, but Emily raised her hand and said I have more to tell you. I closed my mouth and nodded, allowing her to continue her story. About 2 months ago I was at the mall looking for shoes. I was looking through a shoe rack, when I spotted a lovely pair of red heels. I reached for them and so did the person beside me. We apologized and then turned toward each other. I was surprised to see Isabella smile at me. When she saw my face, she gasped and took a step back. I was afraid she'd run, so I grabbed her arm. She looked down at my hand, then up at my eyes. She must have noticed my pleading expression because her face softened and she mentioned my name. I'm not sure why I did it, but I reached up and placed my free hand on the back of her neck. I then drew her towards me. When we separated, she took a step back and looked me over before speaking. My God, Emily, you are as beautiful as ever. I think of you all the time. Then she slapped me. Emily, you have broken my heart. I thought you loved me. How could you have done that to me? Isabella, I loved you. I just messed up that night. I wasn't sure what I was doing. I was in a very bad place and I think about ecstasy. Oh Isabella, I'm so sorry. I attempted to talk to you about it, but you vanished. I begged your brother to tell me where you had gone, but he refused. Emily, I was simply devastated. I ended up going home and nearly failing all of my courses. You graduated in June. I had to return in the fall to complete my final few credits to graduate. I got a job in Seattle and was just transferred back here last month. I wanted to call you, but I was afraid you'd ignore me and I couldn't take it if you rejected me again. Oh Isabella, I'm very sorry. Let's go get some lunch and you can tell me about your experiences over the last 10 years. Please. A nice Mexican restaurant is located at the end of the mall. Please update one. Oh, why, she agreed to lunch and we had a wonderful time catching up. She works in sales and her schedule is fairly flexible. We've met a few times after school and I once had dinner with her while you were working late. We were both overjoyed to reconnect. I didn't say anything because I wasn't sure how to explain her to you. I should have informed you the day I saw her, but I did not. I now wish I had. If you recall, you called this past Wednesday and stated that you would be extremely late 1100. Isabella called me just second after you did, and I invited her to come over and keep me company. I prepared a light meal and we drank some wine. We moved to the couch and drank more wine. We were just discussing and laughing about some of the crazy things we did. Or why, I apologize. I know it's wrong and cheating, but I simply got carried away. I said to Isabella, I can't do this. I'm married to a wonderful man. I simply can't cheat on him. I apologize. Emily, I've tried so hard to restrain myself. I dashed to her and grabbed her in my arms, in my heart. I knew I also loved Isabella, but why? My love for you is extremely deep. You mean the world to me and I simply couldn't live without you. I told Isabella that I loved her, but you were my husband and my first love. I said I wanted her in my life but couldn't hurt you. We cried together and she said she needed time to think about things. She kissed me on the cheek and said goodnight. After she left, I reflected on everything I'd done over the last month and realized I needed to talk to you about it. Or why, I'm not sure what should happen next. I want to continue seeing Isabella, but I don't want to end up doing something that could harm you. I spoke with her earlier tonight and told her I wanted her to meet you and perhaps get to know you. I believe if we do this, she will see what you mean to me and hopefully understand she and I will never be more than very close friends. Wow, Emily. I'm not sure how to react to what you've told me. I had no idea you were into girls. No, or why? Not girls. There's only one special girl, Isabella. I've never been attracted to another female. I can't explain my attraction to Isabella. I know I'm not really gay. I have always felt a desire for you and I admit I've had feelings for other men. I never pursued that attraction. I love you too much. Still, I felt it. I'm sure you became attracted to other women. Right, it's only natural. But we're married, so we reject the attraction. We don't simply give in to it. Well, Emily, an asterisk indicates that you've been seeing Isabella behind my back. You don't seem to be resisting very much. You have a history with this girl, have been with her several times. However, you never mentioned any of those meetings to me. How would you react if I told you I was seeing a former girlfriend and we did several lunches and dinners together, and I'd even had her here at our house, all without ever mentioning her to you? Emily gave a gasp. Her eyes widened in shock and she raised a hand to cover her mouth. Oh my God. Oh, why, this is exactly what I did. Or why, I was cheating on you emotionally. I would be so pissed off if you did that to me. I am so sorry. Baby, you're correct. I should have told you about running into her and eating lunch the first day. Oh, why? I guess I didn't want to have to tell you about my relationship with her. I'm not sure. Maybe I assumed it would be just one lunch. But as time went on, I'm not sure why I didn't tell you. Or why I wasn't consciously trying to keep it from you. I believe I told you about having dinner with a girlfriend, but I should have explained everything the first day. Oh my God, what a mess. Or why, I apologize. I wasn't completely honest with you. Yes, you told me about the dinner, but I wasn't sure what was going on and you definitely should have approached me on the first day. Emily, we do not keep things from each other. We have always been open and honest with each other until this point. Emily hung her head. You're correct. Or why, I really ducked up here. What are we planning to do? What do you want me to do? Please, unlace, baby. How can I make things right? I do not know. Emily, you say you think you love this girl, but you still love me. How do you think? That makes me feel my wife is in love with someone else. Where does this leave us? You stated that you want to continue seeing her. If you do, how long will it be before you get intimate with her again? If you want to be in love with her, do you expect me to become a willing cold? Is this what you want? No, that is not what I want. Nicholas Mond, you're my husband. I'll never be intimate with anyone except you. I love you with all of my heart. Nicholas Mond. Please, you mean the world to me now. I'm confused. You say you love me and want nothing more than to be intimate with me. But you are still in love with Isabella. Emily, I believe you share my confusion. You know I'm not the type of guy who wants to share his wife with someone else. I believe you genuinely love me, but I am concerned that your desire for Isabella may be beyond your or her control. I think you're correct. Perhaps the three of us should discuss this and decide how to proceed. I am extremely dissatisfied with everything and I am concerned that our marriage will fail. Emily, I love you, but I'm having a hard time with all of this. Emily so BBS deeply. Oh God. No, Nicholas Mond. Please, I cannot lose you. Please believe me. It is you that I love and you and I want to be together. I'll call Isabella and tell her I can't see her again. No, I do not want you to do that and then pine for her for the rest of our lives together. No, we need to sit down and the three of us must settle this. Okay. Or why I'll call her and schedule a time for us to meet Emily. I'm going to the basement to lift weights for a while. I need to calm down. Let me know when you've spoken with Isabella. Update 2. I went into our bedroom to change into sports shorts. Our bedroom overlooks the deck, and when I got close to the open window, I could hear Emily talking on her phone. Oh God. Isabella. That was horrible. He even used the word "you're correct." Perhaps I was too open with him about my feelings for you. I am aware of this, but I honestly thought he'd be fine with us seeing each other. Don't all guys get turned on by watching a little girl-on-girl action? He wants the three of us to talk things out. Yes, I do want to be with you, but not until I am pregnant. Sure. As if we could find a better sperm donor than our Y. He's perfect and I want him to father our child. Okay. But you must be believable. I dumped my a few weeks ago and I have to duck his eyes once next week. I am sure I am pregnant. We'll talk with him again. I understand. Maybe. But if everything goes well, it will only be a month or so when I'm pregnant. I'll just say I need you here and what will he say? I do not think so. I just can't imagine Nicholas divorcing his pregnant wife. Yes, but if we don't push him too hard, he may agree to it until the baby is born. If that occurs, maybe I'll have a second child, then divorce him. Yes, perhaps I'm dreaming. However, it would be a dream come true for us. Okay. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. I've got to run. Love you, bye. I staggered backwards and flopped down on the bed. My stomach lurched and I thought I'd lose my dinner. I steadied myself before slipping down the stairs and through the basement door. I sat on my weight bench, head in my hands. Emily intends to leave me for Isabella, but she wants me to knock her up first. She believes she will be able to move Isabella into the house, which I will allow because Emily will be pregnant. My God, she's correct. I would never abandon her if she was pregnant with my child. I'm not that type of guy she sucked up when she let me overhear their grand plan. There's no way I'll ever get her pregnant. She will have to find another donor. Now that I know her plans, I need to make some of my own. Emily knocked on the door and then opened it. I spoke with Isabella and she is coming over tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Will that be okay with you? Yes, babe. That is fine. I'm coming up. But I need to take a shower. First, I showered, put on a pair of boxers and got into bed. Emily slid into bed and snuggled up to me. I grabbed her hand. Babe, I think I may have pulled something down there. I believe I may have tried to lift too much and injured myself. Sorry. Oh no, as in the thirst. Nicholas, do you need to visit the hospital? No, I will be okay. Perhaps I'll freeze it tomorrow. Right now all I need is some sleep. The next day I sat on the couch, and I spag around my groin and watched a few games. Emily announced mid-afternoon that she was going to the store to get more wine and snacks for the meeting that evening. She said she would have Chinese delivered for dinner. I suggested that she ask Isabella to join us for dinner. Emily smiled at me and said she'd call from the car once she left. I called my boss and apologized for calling on a Saturday. I informed him that I had injured myself and would need Monday off. He knew all of my reports were due out on Friday, so he wasn't conk. Conk cared about my work and told me to do whatever I needed to do. I then called my lawyer and requested a referral to a family lawyer. He was taken aback, but he gave me a name and suggested I call her right away. I called Miss Sally Hawk and briefly explained the situation. She told me to gather my finances and report to her office at 9 a.m. on Monday. After that, I relaxed and waited for Emily's return. Emily was gone for several hours, and when she returned she had Isabella with her. Nicholas. I ran into Mary at the wine shop and she talked my ear off. It was getting late when I left, so I called Isabella to offer her a ride. We ordered dinner from the car and it should arrive in half an hour. Hello, Isabella. My name is Nicholas Sosha. I apologize. I forgot. You have never met each other. Isabella smiled at her wife. Thank you, our wife, for inviting me to your home this evening. I nodded. Should I pour us all a glass of wine? Emily, show me what you bought for us. As I opened and poured the wine, I looked at Emily's lover. I had to make a concession. Emily's choice of women matched mine. Isabella looked like Emily's sister, a little taller but otherwise built, just like Emily. My active mind quickly ran through a sister's fantasy. I shook my head thinking, nope, never going there. We chatted over dinner and drank a couple of glasses of wine. Emily suggested we move into the family room to start our discussion. I filled everyone's glasses before following the ladies into the family room. Isabella paused, unsure where to sit. I quickly sat down in my recliner and motioned for the ladies to sit on the couch. Emily smiled at her wife and said, honey, you requested this meeting. Why don't you start the discussion? I slowly took a deep breath and said I spent the entire afternoon thinking about our situation. Isabella, Emily told me about your previous relationship and how it ended. She also told me about her reunion with you and the rekindling of her feelings for you. She appears to be struggling between her desire to be close to you and a commitment to our marriage. She has assured me that preserving our marriage is still her primary concern. I've told her I'm not willing to share my wife with you or anyone else. I'm just not that type of guy. So Isabella and Emily, how do you see things developing? Given my refusal to enter Olive Triangle, I guess I'd like to know what you truly want and what your expectations are at this point. Update 3. Emily and Isabella exchanged glances before Emily nodded for Isabella to proceed. Nicholas, to be honest, I want Emily to leave you and marry me. I know that won't happen, barring that I still want Emily to be a part of my life. Of course I would prefer a romantic relationship, but I'm aware that this is not possible. So the question is, can I maintain a close, friendly relationship with Emily without pressuring her to be intimate with me? I nodded and said, yes. That's exactly my question. But it goes beyond that. Because even if you both agreed today, I'll still have to deal with lingering doubt. You two are still in love and you expect me to accept my wife spending time with an ex-lover after she's told me she's still in love with him. Think about that. Would you allow your spouse to do that? Isabella lowered her head and I noticed a few tears drop into her lap. Emily reached over to pat her arm. Emily turned to look at me. Nicholas, I believe both Isabella and I understand how uncomfortable our relationship may be for you. Now let me ask you about Mark, your best friend. You are aware that Mark is deeply in love or lust with me, correct? H represents an asterisk, so he hits on me in front of you and everyone, and you don't seem bothered by it. Is that so different from what Isabella might do? Emily, you did not have a 2-year love affair with Mark and, as far as I know, you're not in love with that goofball. They are not the same, but I think I understand what you're trying to say. Or why you're correct. I know that, but what I'm suggesting is that you let Isabella become one of our friends. I want you to join us when we get together, and I believe you will see you can count on us to respect your wishes in this matter. I give you my solemn promise that I will never cross any lines with Isabella. I turn to Isabella. Can you honestly say you accept that arrangement? Isabella paused and collected herself. Or why, that is clearly not what I want. However, as Nick points out, you cannot always get what you want, so I promise to respect your wishes. If I find the temptation too great, I promise to come to you and tell you I can no longer keep my promise to you. Both girls looked at a while with anticipation. I leaned back in my seat and closed my eyes. I knew the girls didn't intend to keep their promises. I knew they were just trying to get me to agree to having Isabella in our lives. I opened my eyes and stared directly at my wife's lying face. My intensity made her smile fade slightly, so I spoke quickly. Okay, ladies, you've convinced me to give it a shot. I trust you both to carry out your promises. If either of you find this arrangement too difficult, please let me know. I then stood up, smiled at the two conniving boisterous teachers, and extended my arms for a group hug. The girls jumped up and embraced me tightly. I could see their slight smirks. I let the girls go, reached down and picked up my glass. I held it up and said, "A toast to new beginnings." The weekend was uneventful. Isabella came over on Sunday and I grilled steaks. We sat on the deck for several hours chatting about nothing. When Isabella left, a delighted Emily dragged me into the bedroom. I left the house at my usual time on Monday morning. I found a coffee shop near Sally Hawk's office and ate breakfast while drinking too much coffee. My meeting with Sally was pretty much as expected. We live in a no-fault state, so a 50 split is common. My income is slightly higher than Emily's, so Sally suggested I pay a small amount of maintenance as a teacher. Emily has an excellent retirement plan and insurance, so there is no need for me to make a claim on my 401k or carry her on my policy. I'd need to pay off her 3-year-old Volvo and give her the title. The house would be sold and the proceeds split unless Emily purchased my share, overall reasonably fair and equitable. I was stunned when Sally told me how fortunate I was to be childless. Why, I asked, or why? If you had any children, Emily could have put Isabella in your bed and kicked you out. If you have divorced her, you would be responsible for paying the mortgage, child support, additional maintenance, and possibly a portion of your retirement savings. You'd struggle financially and only see the kids when Emily agreed. Emily would have the house, the children, her lover, and a sizable portion of your income. Well, duck that, I know. She stopped taking the pill and wants me to get her pregnant, but that won't happen. I'm lucky. I overheard her discussing plans with Isabella once we have filed. If you fall in love with Emily, you would be making a mistake. Some courts may interpret this as your acceptance of her behavior. Also, attempting to divorce a newly pregnant wife can be extremely risky in front of a judge, and that is a very bad idea. Don't worry, I'll simply stay away from her once she's served. It will not be an issue. Speaking of which, how soon can you do it? We can have her served shortly after school. Let's have on Thursday. Will it work? Great. Now we can see how good an actor I am. I went to the bank to withdraw half of our funds. We each had separate credit cards and never used the joint credit card. I got the joint card's limit reduced to 10. When I get home, I'm going to cut up both joint cards. That would make it a little more difficult for Emily to use it before Sally had it frozen. Update 5. When I arrived home that evening, Isabella was already there. She greeted me and kissed my cheek before Emily approached and kissed me. Wow, like I could get used to this kind of welcome home. The girls giggled and Emily said, "Honey, Isabella arrived about 2 minutes before you and wants to treat us to dinner at that BBQ place you like. So put your jeans on and let's go before it gets too crowded." I sprinted up the stairs to our room thinking, this is great. It will keep Emily preoccupied. I'll have a few more beers and then crash when I get home. Emily won't be getting a nookie tonight. Surprisingly, I had a great time with the girls at the restaurant. I wasn't drunk, but I did feel a little buzzed when we left. All three of us were laughing together. Emily's good mood vanished on the way home when I announced that I would be leaving town tomorrow for an audit. Her why? No, I do not want you to leave. Can't you ask someone else to do it? I've completed all of my lesson plans for the weekend. I thought we'd have some free time this week. Sorry, Emily. This is a large audit and I have to attend. I'm leaving the office at noon tomorrow and will return Thursday afternoon. Perhaps Isabella can come over to keep you company. But or why? I wanted to spend quality time with my husband. Emily pouted. Yes, or why? That is all she has been talking about for the past few days. I believe she needs some serious man love from her husband, Isabella said, then laughed out loud. Chill. Honey, I'm so sorry they just kind of sprung this on me. I guess the department had specifically requested that I led the audit. Look, it's only 2 days and I'll be back. Okay, but don't make any plans for the weekend because I'm not going to let you out of my bed. Emily huffed and both girls laughed aloud. When we got home, I hugged Emily and told her not to worry. Thursday afternoon I plan to rock your world. I said it with a big smile. Wow. You better. Emily pouted again. Maybe Isabella and I will go shopping and I'll see if I can find something at Victoria's Secret that might interest you. This sounds like a plan. But right now I've had too much beer and barbecue. I need some sleep. Emily huffed a little but said nothing. I'm sure she and Isabella had plenty to talk about. Final update. Tuesday morning I packed my bag and went into the office. I told my secretary that I had a fight with my wife and that if she called, she should just know I was unavailable. I called Emily at 11:15 knowing it would go to voicemail because she was in her classroom. I said goodbye and mentioned that I had spoken with her that evening. I then drove home and packed a week's worth of clothes plus a few toiletries. I was careful not to bring too many items that Emily would notice. I called Emily. We talked about her day and I made up a story about mine. She stated that she and Isabella were going shopping Wednesday after school. I couldn't help but think Isabella would get to see her in her new lingerie. Without it, I called mid-morning Wednesday and told her I was going to dinner with the managers and would probably be late. I promised to call her on Thursday before I boarded the plane home. Of course I didn't intend to call her. I met the movers at the house as soon as she left for work on Thursday morning. I didn't take much from the house, so the movers got me loaded. In less than 2 hours I rented a nice two-bedroom condo near my office. The movers finished unloading my belongings and left by 100. I confirmed with Sally, who said Emily would be served promptly at 400. I called Isabella and told her I was having a special surprise delivered to Emily at home and asked if she wanted to be there to witness it. She was thrilled that I had invited her. I swore her to secrecy and instructed her to arrive at 310 on the dot. At 300, when I walked into our house, Emily was just putting away her book bag and purse. Nicholas, oh my God, what a surprise. What are you doing here? Emily jumped up and approached me. I raised my hand in the stop motion. She paused and looked at me. Nicholas, honey, what is wrong? Emily will be joining us in a few minutes, and I'd like to have a serious conversation about our future together. Things are going to change around here and you both will be a part of it. Or why are you scaring me? What are the changes to our future? What are you talking about? Tell me what is going on. You're acting strangely. Isabella just walked in. Hello. Isabella, I'm glad you could join us. Her wife spoke as he motioned Isabella inside. She moved quickly to Emily's side when she noticed her concern. Nicholas, what is this all about? You informed me that you had a surprise for Emily. What's going on? Okay. Ladies, it's time to get real. I am aware of your plans to impregnate Emily and then dump me so you two can be together. I also know Emily wants to have 2 children and wants me to father the second one. If you can force me to stay after the first pregnancy, the plan is to keep me sick until the second child is conceived. Emily and Isabella were shocked to learn that I knew their plan. Nicholas, the hell? Oh God. Nicholas, Mon. Please, we can make it work. Stop. Emily, you don't have to lie to me anymore. I have decided to go along with your plan. But I do have a price. Would anything, we will do anything. Emily and Isabella spoke together. My pricing. Isabella. I am going to duck her right here and now. And you get to see me do it. Emily. What? Isabella screamed. Are you out of your mind? I've never let any man touch me. Never. Emily pulled Isabella into a bear hug. Isabella. He is offering us our dream. You need to do this for us. You simply have to. This will only happen once. Then we'll spend the rest of our lives together with the family we want. Isabella. You need to do this. Please, please. If you love me, do this. Oh my God. Emily. How can you be okay with this? You're going to let him avoid me. Emily. I thought you loved me. How are you asking me to do this? I will tell you how. Similarly, you can ask her to find old me and marry. Emily has been avoiding me for 10 years and will continue to do so for the next year or so in order to have the children you desire. Isabella, you are asking Emily to give up her marriage, but you still want her to have children with me. What are you sacrificing? Isabella stared at me, her mind replaying my words. Then she turned to Emily and asked for you. For us. I will do whatever it takes to make that happen. I grabbed Isabella's arm and said, ladies, follow me. As I dragged her to my bed, I got dressed. I backed up to the bedroom door right as the front doorbell rang. I smiled at Emily. I've avoided your lover. Asterisk key. Now I'm going to avoid you. I opened the door and directed the process server back to see Emily. I heard her screams as I walked out of the house. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode of the story, please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe to get notifications for updates.